How's it going, siren enthusiasts and scale modelers? Welcome back to another video. It's your host Ray. Today's video will be a model building and siren assembly discussion. I haven't done one of these videos in over a year because I haven't built one of these little sirens in over a year. So let's get right to it. I'm pretty excited and I've been waiting to show you this model for a few weeks now. So without further ado, let's start. Before I start talking about the siren, I do want to discuss the building quickly and the overall assembly process and how this model came to be in the first place. So I'll start doing that now. So the building you see here is the Walthers HO scale Liberty Bank and Trust. And if you have a good eye, you can read the text here. It says Liberty Bank and Trust. And I bought this building alongside another building in July of 2021. I finished the other building in August of 2021. And in the same month, I also started building this one. However, I wasn't able to finish it on time before the school year started. And by the time the school year started, I was already dry on motivation. I didn't know what I wanted to do with this building. So I just decided to shelve the build. I made no progress from August to December of 2021. Now in December of 2021, I had winter break from school, so I had a ton of free time, aside from my swimming business. But even then, I still had a ton of free time. So I decided to reignite the project. I finished the assembly. I did some Photoshops to decide how I wanted to paint it. And lo and behold, in January of 2022, over 7 months later, I finished the building. I think it was 7 months, 6 or 7 months, I'm not sure. So that was pretty nice. And here's what the building looks like before I put the siren on it. I actually didn't even have the siren model when I finished the building because I wanted to make sure I finished the building without being distracted by the sirens. So overall, I like how it came out. Didn't come out as I originally anticipated, but nonetheless, I think I still did a decent job. So enough talk about that. Now let's talk about the siren. So here you can see a better angle of the siren, and yes, this is one of the HO scale Thunderbolt sirens from Ratcliffe models. I ordered this and received it in February of 2022, and it was the first of the many kits that I ordered, and I still have to build some of them, so sorry, I had to pause the video really quickly. Anyway, this is the first kit out of the many ones that I ordered that I built, and I'll just say this, it was a really fun process. If you guys want to sit back and relax and just see some of the pictures from the progress of the assembly, because I did take some of the pictures, feel free to enjoy those now, and we will resume with the video shortly. So overall, the assembly process was great. I did hit a few hiccups here and there, and I'll explain those shortly. And yeah, before I start talking to you guys, I do want to show you guys around the diorama, so take a moment to just look around the building. I love how it focuses on the building and not on the siren. It's kind of funny. Alright, so now I'm going to start talking about the siren building process. So this was the first Thunderbolt siren, or any HO scale siren in general, that I've built in over a year, so it was quite the experience. I had a lot of nostalgia while building it. However, I mentioned that I did have some hiccups, and before I even started building the kit, right as I opened the bag, I noticed that there were problems. As you guys can see right now, there was a hole in the chopper tube, and there was a crack in the horn. So that was kind of interesting to deal with. However, one of these problems actually ended up being beneficial to the kit, or not to the kit, but to the build, so let me explain why. So, right now here you can see the head, and you can actually see, you can probably still see the remains of the problems. You can see a little indentation of where the hole was in the chopper tube, and you can see the crack here in the horn, and you might be wondering why I decided to keep it, so let me explain. What I wanted to build was an old Thunderbolt siren, one of the oldest types, which is the 1952 and 1953 Jailbar types, which had metal support beams inside the horn to prevent the horn from collapsing, which obviously never happened. And as these old Jailbar Thunderbolts started to age, that's what they called these, they called them Jailbar Thunderbolts, as they started to age, cracks would appear in the horn on the spots where the engineers welded the bars to the inside of the horn. So that crack is actually placed in one of the locations of where the jail bars would be, so it actually ended up being a bit more realistic to the diorama, so that was pretty nice. As for the chopper tube hole, that wasn't realistic, so I did have to end up filling it in with some model putty, yeah, nothing too special there. For those of you who I haven't told, you guys might notice that I actually used a new technique for building the jail bars on this one. The last time I built a Jailbar Thunderbolt in HO scale was in 2019, and by then I was using cut staples, or yeah, the edges of staples, and those were difficult to work with, so I decided to use a new design. And on this new design, the one you can see on the right here, the one you see on the left right now, that's one of my 2019 ones. On this design, I used paper instead because I have become a bit more skilled with handling paper and scale models now. So form your own opinion about what you guys think and tell me down below, because I would like to hear your guys' opinions on both. Here's what the side of the horn looks like too. So if you want to compare the silhouettes of the jail bars from the 2019 one to the 2022 one, feel free to do so. This is actually the main reason why I decided to switch to paper, because the paper clips still kept like sticking out a little too much. Or not the paper clips, the staples. I keep getting the two confused. Before I begin discussing the rest of the siren, here's the other side of the head if you're curious, and the exposure went down. Sorry about that. There you go. So you can see some of the rust details on the other side. Last thing about the head, I decided to do this particular paint scheme with the rotator all rusted and the horn not really showing any weathering, because some of the old Thunderbolts here in Chicago, in the major city closest to me, they actually have a similar paint job to this, and this is just due to the way they weathered, and I really like the way that looked, so I decided to kind of replicate that. Now let's discuss the rest of the mount. Everything went smoothly from there. It's your typical guy wire wood support pad mount here. Nothing too special. I've built something like this before back in 2020, so I don't have much to say about it. However, something that I did do that was new on this one was with the conduit that I usually put on the sirens. Today, this time I just decided to go a little bit haywire on the details, and I added these conduit holders to the blower pipe. Which, let me tell you, well, first, these were made out of paper, if you're curious, but let me tell you, I cannot describe how difficult it was to put these on and wrap them around the conduit and the blower pipe. It was quite a tedious process, but it was fun overall, and it worked in the end, so I really won't complain. Here's this angle from for the rest of the mounts. You guys might notice that I used a different set of wires for the guy wires here. I decided to actually use just standard sewing string because, one, I was lazy, and two, it actually kind of added to the realism of the diorama with the little frizzles, for lack of a better term, sticking out of the side of the string. You guys probably are not going to be able to see it, or you guys can actually see it right here. You can kind of see some of the little strings kind of peeling off of there. Overall, added to the realism of the build, in my opinion. And finally, to close things off, I just want to finish this quickly. You can kind of see that I actually painted the roof white entirely mainly to cover or to show this detail more obviously. You guys can see that I put some rust stains under the blower here from like water and stuff, because that's actually seen on a few rusty sirens. You can see like the rust, not the rust, but like I guess rust residue transferring to the roof. So that basically concludes the video. That's all I really have to say. I don't want to waste too much of your time either. So thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. It's good to be back and doing sirens. If you have any questions, feel free to drop those down below in the comment section. And stay tuned for more siren content, because I definitely have some more coming. So I'll see you guys later.